Okay, so we got two Toro Groundsmasters. I believe this one has an earlier serial number. Same model, though. You can see this one I started doing some work on. I did put a tire on it. And then I came across this one. And it's like, well, heck, screw this one, because it, needs bearings and everything else. But this one has quite a few broken parts on it, but they're still good on this one. So I'm actually going to be swapping stuff over. Like this one, the steering box was all screwed up. And various other things. This one here, the engine's missing a whole bunch of stuff, but the transmission's good. It's got the correct double V belt and everything. This one here just had two individual crappy TSC belts, but the engine's complete. You can see the tires are bald in this one, but it's got good back tires. I have another front V tire, so I'll swap it out and put them on the tires onto this one. This one has 18-inch. That one has 16-inch. Originally, from what I'm seeing, they should have both had 16-inch on the back, but I'm going to keep the 18s. More ground clearance. This one, some of the electrical's gone, and this one here, some of the electrical's gone. But basically, what's missing here is here, and what's missing here is there. So, gives me a complete harness. A couple other things that are wrong with this one, this machine has. So, there's a few things I still need to get. For the motor, I need to get a carb kit. And I was going to put a new oil pump, fuel pump, and a few other things. Just what I figure, if I'm putting the gasket kit and everything else in it, I might as well go through the whole engine, anything that's worn, and then I'll swap the engine over to this one. The deck, this one had a deck, this one did not have a deck. Apparently the guy, he got it with a snow thrower, and he kept the snow thrower. I do know where a snow thrower is if I wanted, but I don't have any interest in the snow thrower. Over here, I got crap all over the place. I'm parting stuff out and scrapping and eBay. So this deck here, I need to get some new seals for the gearbox. The gears are nice and tight. No real play in them. Surprisingly, these bushings are actually good, and these little yokes. Some spots of the deck are bad, so I will fix that. See, earlier style, so this bracket is just welded. It doesn't have the upper plate like the newer one does, so I am going to fix that, because you can see it's actually cracked again. Somebody over tightened these. So what I'm going to actually do is, it's going to be drilled out. I'm going to put a tube in there and weld the tube in, so when they get tightened down, they don't actually crush, because I'm not really a fan of just tightening it against a tube like that. I have nice thick steel, the same gauge to put back on this. I think it's 12 gauge, but I can't really recall at the moment. 12 gauge actually sounds kind of thin. I don't remember what size it was, but I do have the steel that same thickness. It's got the towers on it that are made out of the stamped steel. I really don't like that type, but since they're not bad, I'm just going to keep them. When I patch the deck, these plates here, there's several of them underneath. I'm going to replace all those. Might as well. But bearings are good. I'm going to put new seals in them. And all the towers. I do have to get a lower pulley for that, because the pulley's quite pitted. And I really don't want to use that, because it's just going to, it'll just eat up the belt. But anyway, this machine here, or this deck that came with the farm machine over there, the one that looks like it sat outside its entire life, I paid $100 for this one. It had the seat, the steering, and everything else, but it's in rough shape. This one I also paid $100 for. So at the moment, $200, and let's see, bigger pickup and delivery for one came from Davison, one came from, I want to say it was near Lansing, but I really can't recall. So let's say $60 or so to get the two machines. Gas hadn't gone up in price quite as bad as it is now yet. But, I mean, once it's done, I'm sure it'll be pretty darn good mower. Save me money in gas for the simple fact that I can mow more quicker. And, I hate these little bugs. So, this one I do have quite a few of the parts for it. The screen, I think it's got a rebuilt head that came with it. I think the sleeves and the cylinders were bad. For some reason, they pulled the engine apart. I'm going to assume it was the sleeves that were messed up. So, but another thing is this one, the differential's good. That one there, you can actually move it up and down here. And the shaft, you can feel it. It's got probably about almost a ½ inch of play in the inside bearing where the axle goes in. So the outer bearing and the inner bearing are just like all over the place in that differential. Some of this stuff I'll save and I'll probably fix later on because I plan on keeping the machine. If you another thing, if you look at here, this machine's had a lot of stuff get broken on it. This one is actually nice and intact, so it's another thing I'll swap. And this one, it was repaired near the steering box. This one was also repaired near the steering box, and like basically when I looking online, probably 9 out of 10 have had a patch put there. So I'd assume it's quite common to break in that particular area. Not exactly sure why. I mean, it could be just the metal's too thin for the amount of force it takes for steering, or maybe when they were steering and you hit something with the wheel, it jerks back and eventually it just causes stress cracks and such. But yeah, hopefully I can have these, or one of these done within the next few months. For the seals, bearings, a few bearings that I need, a couple other things, mostly just more stuff for the engine. I'm probably going to have another $400 in parts. Plus, you figure the engine, the gasket kit was about $150, and that took forever to get from France. It was a real pain. That Renault is not easy to get parts for. But yeah, I think I am going to have to probably make a few things, but you know, other than that, it doesn't seem like too big of a problem. This one, the air box is rotted out. Air box on that one, non-existent. But I did get the old style, the earlier style 70s air box for the Renault. And then I'll just run a snorkel with a pre-breather. Basically just another one of these little guys right here. Sorry, I always forget to look through the camera. But yeah, it's still the same amount of surface area. It's just technically that's probably a better filter than that. The newer, or the older one, sorry. But like I said, it just, I don't have another one of those. Mine are all a different size. I could buy the newer plastic one used for probably about $100, but I got that one really cheap, so I really didn't care. So we'll see what happens with them.